What's going on, guys? It's Derek here. So today we have a really different video than my normal mechanic do-it-yourself series videos. And today we are outside and I'm actually going to be talking about my yard. I put out a lot of videos with the John Deere Z540R, and those videos have got a lot of comments and a lot of conversation back and forth, people asking about the mower, people trying to see different things about it. And it got me thinking that maybe I should start doing more do-it-yourself videos on a broad variety of things. So if you followed me on the Instagram, it was No BS Auto Rehab, and I just changed it to Baker's DIY Lifestyle. So the channel, I want to revolve it all around do-it-yourself stuff and different things that you can do around your house, be it on a car, on the yard, or inside the house doing some construction, changing some lights out. And you can see me, I'm standing on my deck right here that me and a bunch of my family members helped put together, but stuff outside and a whole bunch of do-it-yourself videos that I think a lot of people are gonna like. So the channel has been doing great, but I need some more subscribers. So I'm trying to put out content that is gonna go from video to video to video. That way you guys will have something that you can follow, something you can watch, and not just that one do-it-yourself video that you click on for your vehicle or your mower. So I'm hoping this will provide a lot more content on the channel as well as on the Instagram page. But today I want to talk about, will tall fescue survive a 100-degree summer? So this year has been a super hot year, and even now coming past Labor Day and through September, it's still super hot. We're still seeing way above 90-degree days, and my yard is basically getting torched. So a normal year by now, we would have already been overseeding and aerating and getting the yard ready for the fall, but we kind of had to hold off because we had that Hurricane Dorian come through. Luckily, it didn't come all the way to us this time, but last year, if you can see behind me, that section back there, it used to be all woods. We actually had that tore down, and the section in the back, this dark green, that was all stuff that I seeded last year. It got washed out twice, but I still had a good stand pop up back there, and it looks pretty good. But even back there, we're gonna have more renovation. This will eventually all be cleared out and be a beautiful just green field going up through there, and I'll plant a new tree line around the outside edge, but I wanted a little bit more land and more open area behind the house. But I'm gonna go through, just sort of talk about my yard, the things that I've done to it up until now, the way it looks. And if you're considering putting a tall fescue lawn in your yard and you're in this transition zone, sort of closer to the southern side of it, I'll show you what it looks like coming out of summer, how bad it looks, but then how you don't really need to worry and how it's gonna look here in the next few weeks after I overseed it and get some fertilizer down and get some more water on the yard. But with that intro, I hope you guys will enjoy this content. I hope you guys enjoy the new name, the new logo, and all that stuff. And with that, I will bring you a lot more content. So of course, back to talking about the yard. I'm just gonna be walking around my yard, sort of talking about what I've done this year and telling you if and how you can make your tall fescue survive a super hot summer like we've had here. So if you can see the yard, looking at it, it's definitely not completely green. So the reason for that is a couple weeks ago, I went ahead and sprayed some Ornamec over the top. And what that is it kills basically weed grass types in your yard, but it leaves the tall fescue behind. So what you'll see is a whole bunch of dead grass behind me. All that dead stuff is all wild Bermuda that has been in my yard since we got here. So it's really hard to keep the wild Bermuda out. The only way I could really get rid of all of it is if I was to kill off the entire yard, do a full renovation, and plant just fescue. And the reason I know it would work is because of this section back here that I showed you on the deck. So this section back here, it was completely dirt. I actually seeded it straight from the ground up, and there was no weed, there was no grass. But what you can see here is the fescue that survived. So I did plant this twice last year. It washed out, I replanted it, and then it washed out again. We had 2 hurricanes come through last year. But you can see it right here. It's very patchy. So all those patchy spots, that's where the water had puddled up. The water should be running down. There's a ditch that we had dug last year, and then there's a drain right there that actually runs all the way through the yard and across the street. So my section of the property, I'm actually the lowest house on this street. And you can tell from up there, the road, there's actually a drain up there in the corner that drains water in. There's a drain right here on this side that drains water in. So all this water would come down here and pull up right here beside this drain. And before we had trees covering the house It never dried out. It was always wet, and I couldn't get anything to grow back here. So we've made a lot of progress with that, but I do need to finish getting it cleaned up. And you can already see there's some invading Bermuda, crabgrass, and then just all that stuff growing up back there. But I'm not extremely worried about this section because we're gonna be regrading it again just to finalize everything before I go planting grass seed again. But that's sort of my renovation back here and how it looks. Going through the rest of the backyard, it was probably the worst as far as weeds and stuff growing up in here. So I still have a lot of Bermuda. There are a little bit of clover, not so much now that there used to be. And it used to be a ton of Creeping Charlie, but I've been hammering that out for about 4 years now. The Creeping Charlie is almost gone. I still have little patches come up, but I just spray that whenever I see it. So I've made a ton of progress from day one moving into this house in the way that the grass looks. Tall Fescue, of course, is a cool season grass. It's good for the transition zone, but this year being so hot, it just really didn't make it. If I had time to water more, if I had an irrigation system, I definitely would have been able to keep the grass alive. But with the birth of our son and being busy with all that, getting the house ready, I did not have the time that I normally do to put into the yard. But you can see, here's my front yard. And you can see behind me, I've got three big poplar trees, a couple big oak trees that are still here planted. And these trees are great for the shade, but if you look at the yard, this is the worst spot in the yard. The grass is completely dead, it's dry. The ground is super hard because the trees are soaking up all the water that is available in the ground. But this is also the highest spot in my yard, so the water naturally just flows away from this area. This has been the hardest part for me to get started growing and keep it growing, but I will show you guys how I can come through and get it green again and make it match the rest of the yard before the end of the season. Now this other section in my front yard, it's the right front section. It's actually the best part of the yard, and that's because it actually drains. The water will drain from up here across the driveway, and it'll sort of settle right here in this little square section. So even just walking from that side to this side, you can feel the ground under your feet is softer. So this section stays wetter, it stays a lot healthier, it grows way faster. So I actually just triple cut this, and you can see I'm still getting piles of grass, but it grows super thick right here. The center section of it, pretty much all of this is no Bermuda. There's hardly any weeds in it. This is the thickest part of the yard. But around this outside edge here, where I do get some heat coming off the concrete, there is some Bermuda left. But a lot of that is super brown and crispy from spraying the Ornamec on top of that. So that product is awesome. It definitely works. It's getting rid of the Bermuda. But I'm going to show you my neighbor's yard here and show you why it's so hard for me to keep the Bermuda out. So you can see right here, this is the divide between me and my neighbor. This stripe right here that's extremely dead, that was an extra pass I made with the over the top to kill the Bermuda that was invading from his side. But you can see his yard has a nice green color to it. It looks really good right now in the summer heat, and that is just because it is mostly Bermuda. As soon as we hit 90 degrees here, the Bermuda kicks in and the fescue starts shriveling up a little bit. And if you don't keep it watered, the fescue will just shrivel up and disappear, and the Bermuda will take over. So that's the hardest part about being in the transition zone, is it's not cool enough to keep the fescue thick to hold the Bermuda out. And like I say, if I had more time and more money to invest into it, I could keep it nice and green, but it is a lot of work down here as hot as it gets. So I'm gonna continue around the side of the house here, just sort of going up into the hill. When we first moved in, this whole section right here was a brand new renovation. I'm not sure if they ran new downspouts from the house into this drain, but I do have a drainage system right here. So this drain is connected to the drain down there, and it actually runs from the back side of the house through here and then to that drain and then across the street. So my house is the lowest house in this section of the neighborhood. And then each street going back, there's one more street behind the woods there, gets lower and lower. And then there's a creek on the very back of the neighborhood. So that's where all the water drains to. Right now, since all the grass is dead, you can't see the stripe right here, but typically you'll be able to see a brown stripe in the middle of the green. And that is just from the pipe that is underground where the water is coming up. So that pipe is close enough to the top of the ground that it kills the grass because the roots can't get deep enough to stay nice and healthy. But that's sort of the whole tour of the yard, the different sections of my yard, and how they react throughout the year. And even here, you can see in this spot that was renovated, look how thick all this crap is. And like I say, that was after a triple cut. And it sucks because I don't have a way to bag it, to pick it up. I could take a rake across the whole yard, but again, working my life between feeding the baby now has made it a lot harder to stay out here for hours on end. So I kind of got to come out here, get the job done, and get back inside as quick as possible. But I mowed my yard this time down to 2 3/4 inches. I usually leave it all the way up at 4 inches for the fescue, but being that I'm getting ready to start the overseeding and throwing fertilizer, I'm not going to want to get on the yard for a couple weeks until that new grass gets nice and established. So I went ahead and cut it just really short. It's nice and thin. It'll help the yard get some more air through it, and that's also a good thing to help it cool off. But the last thing I want to show you coming back here, I just want to show you the difference in color between the 3 different yards here. So hopefully you can see it really good. I know the sun's kind of out right on top of us today, but this section right here is all Bermuda, and then you can see my fescue part right here. And then up there under the trees, where the trees are soaking all that water out, you can see it's just completely yellow and dry. But I wanted to show you these 3 different colors because obviously right now we're getting dominated. By the end of the season, by fall time, I'm going to show you how to bring your fescue out of this hot summer, show you that you can use fescue as a year-round grass. And I love it because it stays green the longest. It'll green up faster than any of the other grass types around here, and it'll also stay green longer throughout the year. And I have contemplated completely killing the fescue off and go ahead and renovating it with a different type of a nicer Bermuda or even a zoysia grass. But the reason I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet is just because I like having my yard greener longer. Those warm season grasses would only be warm for June, July, August, and that would pretty much be it for the growing season. And the rest of the time it would be brown, just like that fescue is right now. But the good thing about that fescue is it's only been like that for 2 or 3 weeks. It's been green the rest of the year, and I'm showing it to you guys right now at the worst possible time for you to see it. But I want to do that just to show you that how resilient the fescue is, how strong it can come back through the fall once you start getting your fertilizer and getting some more water on it and fix it all back up. So the short answer, can fescue survive a 100-degree summer? Yes. Is it easy? No, but you can do it. And I want to go through all the steps and just show you guys step by step on how to renovate it and give you a reason to hopefully hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more content. But with that, this is my yard. This is what I got to work with, and in the upcoming weeks we're going to be doing the overseeding, we're going to be doing fertilizing. I'll be showing you how I mow the grass, how I keep it nice and tall and get it thick going back into winter, and then everything we'll do to prepare for the next season in the lawn care. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this content is going to be something that you guys are going to watch and keep coming back to the channel for more information. But of course there's our Z540R. I was going to put some clips up of me mowing today, but it was so hot out here, my camera actually shut itself off because it was overheating. So while it was cooling back down in the house, I went ahead and mowed and got all that done. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.